everyone, and welcome to Once Upon a Time at the Oscars,
the show that takes you through every Best Picture nominee from 1927 to today.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Ryan.
This just popped into my head randomly. Okay, this is a huge tangent right out the gate. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
We'll see if I can't loop it back around.
Maybe. In the real world, Disclosure Day just came out. Steven Spielberg.
It did. You just said, I think on recording, I love E.T.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I saw a list posted yesterday that was ranking all 34 or 35 Steven Spielberg films from worst to best.
Disclosure Day would be 35, I think.
Whoa, okay. That's a really big seller for me because I still haven't seen it. All that being said, though, number 35 on that list was The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
As his worst.
Yes. Which seems wild to me. In a world where there's like the BFG.
I was literally thinking the BFG would be in the last slot for me. Because, like, even if you're not a big fan of, like, Duel or Sugarland Express, like, it's not the worst.
Right.
So, worst to me, yeah, I think it's the BFG. Because Lost World, look, I think The Lost World is not terrible, but it's not Jurassic Park.
Sure. But
I think it's bad.
And really? I love The Lost World.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I think it's better than I remember because I've watched 3.
I like 3 too.
No, see, I can't defend 3.
3's got some really cool parts.
There's cool segments, but I think overall, like, we're losing the plot. That's why I think welcome to the pod. I think Jurassic World is a much better sequel than people are giving it credit for, because it actually begs the question, like, what would have happened if we opened up this park? And 2 and 3 are kind of like extensions of Jurassic Park. And this feels like an actual, like, progressing, moving forward. So I liked that. That's what I wanted from something like a sequel of Jurassic Park, because nothing's going to be as good as Jurassic Park, right? Jurassic Park. I'm just saying one more time.
Yeah. Anyway, E.T. was listed as number 1, which I'm like, oh, I love that movie. I don't know if I would put it at number 1.
Oh, no. I would put Jaws above it.
Yeah, Jaws or Jurassic Park even. Like,
yeah.
It's just weird. Or Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like,
yeah, no.
They listed
the
Raiders
top 10
behind Last Crusade.
What?
Which, listen, I like Last Crusade. That's probably my favorite one, personally. But that's me being a little kid and watching these movies and being like, pick the right cup, Indy.
You know what it is for me? And maybe this isn't a good comparison, but to me, that's like saying that strawberry is a better flavor than chocolate. Where it's like, I understand that you might like strawberry more than chocolate, but are you kidding me that chocolate is not as good as strawberry? Like, we have to agree that there are universal truths, and then there's preferences.
Sure.
And I think a universal truth is that something like Raiders is better than Last Crusade. Now, you could like Last Crusade better. Totally fine.
Sure.
But if we're trying to say that Last Crusade is better than Raiders, like, overall, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So I think there's, like, I believe in universal truths like that. Not everything has to be a universal truth. But, yeah, look, if you're in the top 10 of Steven Spielberg's best movies, huge accomplishment, right? Like, anything in the top 10 is great, so it's almost like one doesn't matter. But to that point, I don't think it's E.T.
Yeah.
That list sounds like the BuzzFeed, are you having a good day? How can I fix that?
Sure.
List, where it's like, I'm meant to rage bait you.
Which was weird. It was like Variety or something. Like, it was a huge
Variety
publish.
likes to do that.
Yeah, it was just...
Wasn't Variety the one that came out with the Sinners thing, where it's like, that box office isn't that good?
Oh. Why did I read this list? Anyway.
Good to know. And you're right, Disclosure Day did just come out. And I'm
not
excited.
When this drops.
Well, that's true. Well, I'm excited to talk to you. It was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago when this comes out.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, you're right.
I am excited to talk to you off pod about it, and maybe at some point we'll talk on pod. Who knows? Who's to say? But I'm excited. It's just really cool to have another Spielberg event movie in theaters. So very cool. And if you did listen to our episode that came out, Horror the Overlooked, we talked a lot about for Patreon. So make sure you go and subscribe.
Patreon.com/OUTAO podcast.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
We talked a lot about the theaters overperforming, and horror being a big part of that. So
overperforming is a wild way to phrase that, because they need it.
Oh, sorry. A good thing, but going over expectations.
Yeah.
Is what I mean.
The theater's out here like flexing, and they're like, chill out, theaters.
Stop. No, very, very good stuff. And to have a Steven Spielberg event movie come out in that environment is very cool.
Super cool.
So make sure you go out to the theaters, but you don't have to go to the theaters to talk about what we are talking about today, which is that, Kyle, I wanted to let you know that I got a phone call.
Yes.
And it was from the Navy.
Oh.
And they told me that
Bad time for that.
they want you as a new recruit.
Why'd they call you then?
Well, because they listen to the pod.
Oh. Did you tell them thank you?
I did.
Did they leave a 5-star review?
It was,
Typical of the Navy.
they're really big Disraeli fans in the Navy.
I'm going to give it 4 stars, so there's room for improvement.
We're talking about Here Comes the Navy.
If you couldn't tell.
We love the Village People songs. Not so much what the Village People are doing these days, but I can't stop thinking about that song.
Can you tell me what that is off pod? Because I don't know what
Would
they're
love
doing.
to tell you about it off pod.
Thank you.
I do want to point out that you almost expertly did what I wanted you to do. Are you familiar with the song In the Navy?
Just literally the chorus where they go, in the Navy.
Okay, great. My favorite part of that song is that there's ad libs that he does to it. Oh, I really want to do it right now while you're drinking, but I have to set it up. No, you're fine.
Putting that down.
They say they want you as a new recruit, just like I did, right? And then the singer in the background, kind of off mic, goes, "Who, me?"
Oh, me.
I'm so sorry if Ziggy is sleeping. And it's just like that. But then he continues to go on and be like, what am I gonna do in a submarine? In the background while they're singing. Very funny. And you kind of did, like, you're like, me? So you did exactly what I wanted you to do without talking about it. So thank you. Here Comes the Navy is the newest film that we're talking about in our recap of the current year, not current, but of the 7th Academy Award.
7th Academy Awards, baby.
So we've talked a lot about, a number of movies. We've gone through it. I do kind of want to preface with something that you said just before we started recording.
The E.T. thing?
No, I miss Thin Man.
Oh, yeah.
I miss the
too.
Thin Man. It felt like the highest high of something like this.
Yeah.
And we still have some good stuff to come. You're right. But Here Comes the Navy. We'll get right into it. One nomination is really all we're talking about today, and that's Outstanding Production on behalf of Warner Brothers. You want to dive into who's in this?
Yeah, so this was directed by Lloyd Bacon.
Kind of our guy.
Kind of our guy, yeah. What was the other one he did?
42nd Street.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, now that's an interesting one.
There's
though,
a little
because he
bit of
had-
that in here,
He
yeah.
had Busby Berkeley behind him, though, doing a lot of the, I don't want to say the heavy lifting, but like the mutual lifting. They were spotting for each other.
They were spotting. Sure.
Over here, he doesn't have that, and it's not a musical, spoiler alert. Anyway,
Despite me starting with the Village People song.
sure. And despite me starting with a 6-minute Spielberg tangent. James Cagney shows up in this as Chesty O'Connor.
This is our first James Cagney.
Yeah, we've talked about him briefly, just in referencing gangster films and things. And man, he has one of my favorite movie quotes of all time coming up.
Was it in Here Comes the Navy?
No, not in this movie at all. So one day we'll talk about this movie. Pat O'Brien returns as Chief Petty Officer William Biff Martin. Gloria Stewart is Dot Martin, and Frank Mihu is Droopy Mullins.
Droopy.
And this is like, I feel like we're getting kind of stereotypical characters showing up in these movies.
I would say so, but even to names, I think that there's always going to be like, we talked about Apple Annie and that whole thing of like everyone has like a fun nickname. This one's no different with Chester O'Connor being named Chesty. And what was Droopy's real name?
Well, Droopy, I don't know.
Was his real name Droopy?
I hope so.
That's hysterical.
Going down, sir.
I do think it's really funny that his mom took one look and was like, oh, that's a Droopy.
His mom's very funny in this.
For sure.
So
His mom is very funny in
Yeah.
this. That's true.
But
you know what? Watching that character now, his mom, I think that's true. That she looked at him and was like, that's Droopy.
Yeah. He probably had a little bit of jowl action going on when he was born. She's like, I've got it.
That's really messed up if that's what we're naming our babies after. Is like, oh, that's a really elongated jaw. Droopy.
Well, it was a different time.
It was a different time. And in that different time, of course, we're talking about 1934. So this is, to set this up, James Cagney plays Chesty O'Connor. And Chesty is working multiple, different odd jobs, construction worker, comes across a Navy military captain, I suppose, individual in Pat O'Brien. And they start arguing with each other. This is a real just like happenstance, like come across each other, start arguing with each other, and create this like rift. And they're going to fight, and they hate each other. And they just keep running into each other to a point where when Chesty goes to a dance with his girl, he ends up running into Petty Officer, what was his last name? Martin, thank you. Pat O'Brien. And Martin just sets his sights on him and steals his girl and dances with her. And
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Mr. Steal Your Girl. That's a great name for Pat O'Brien, by the way.
Yeah. Or Mr. Steal Your Man.
We'll talk about that. And they get a fight outside, and in it...
They get a fight.
Well, they have a fight. You're right. They fight outside, and Chesty ends up getting completely embarrassed and right hooked by Martin. And he then dedicates pretty much his entire life to, I'm going to ruin this man. How can I do that? Oh, he's in the Navy. I'm going to join the Navy so I can go beat him up.
Wild.
Crazy plot of this movie is he is not chasing a woman. He is not chasing like love or anything. He's actually chasing hate.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to join. Well, what's joining the Navy? Who cares? What do I got to lose? I lost my job because I got knocked out. So I can dedicate my whole life to hate now.
Yeah.
Which on one hand, respect. Like that is such a funny thing to do.
This is a revenge movie.
Kind of.
And that's what's
But the
so
tone
weird
is not
about it.
revenge.
No, well, it's
The tone is like a fun romp comedy.
and I think that's the 30s talking, but like when you really scrub away everything else, it's like, I am gonna punch Pat O'Brien. Like that Kill Bill music starts playing and stuff.
You know what I think this, and not to spoil our double features, but what I think this movie has in common with the most is State Fair, because it's those two pigs. Pat O'Brien and James Cagney in this movie are just those two pigs in State Fair.
Okay,
that
yeah.
are like beefing with each other, because it really comes down to like, he looked at me weird,
Yeah.
and now like we're mortal enemies, and I'm going to find this man and beat him up whenever I can. And it's so funny because then he just finds himself in the Navy. He trains for, is it 90 days or 9 months? It might be
I
6
hope
months.
it's not 9 months.
I think
That's
it's a
a
span
long
of months.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long, long time.
Training and everything. And they're training to go to the Navy, and he ends up finally on a ship, but then realizes they've been trained to be janitors, essentially, on the Navy.
Right. Scrubbing the deck and all that.
Exactly. And he is now in the Navy, finds that he's on the same ship as Pat O'Brien, Martin, and has, again, this is what really makes me laugh about this movie. It's not like it's on site. It's more like, hey, how's it going, man? I'll find a time.
Right.
I want you to know that I'm here, and there will be a time where I will find you. It's not right now, but it's coming.
It's the longest play ever.
It is.
I can't imagine training for months and months and months and finally seeing him and being like, just you wait.
Yep.
It's like, what? I did. I just waited.
And in the span of doing this, James Cagney ends up falling in love with someone, and it turns out, it's his sister. She is the sister of Pat O'Brien.
Yeah.
And now things have become even more complicated, and that sets up, I mean, that alone is 45 minutes in the movie, but that is the synopsis breakdown of Here Comes the Navy.
I think I like this movie. This whole description just sold it to me.
Here's the thing. I had such a fun time with this movie.
Yeah.
And I was really enjoying it. Now, should it be nominated for Best Picture? We could talk about that. But at the time, sure. Now it's very funny to look at. I really enjoyed this solely as a comedy. Like, this was not like incredible performances, check out the direction of this, but it was filmed on location to a degree, right? Filmed on multiple battleships or naval ships.
This was super cool. Did you clock this right away?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple scenes where it's not, right? And you can tell that there's like blue screen, like there's something behind them that's a screen that they put in later on.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the time, whenever they're on like a ship, you can tell that there's like actual ships passing in the background. Like they're actually diving off into water. Like there's a lot that's filmed on the ships. So specifically, the ship in the movie is called the USS Arizona, and that's the same ship. That's the name of the actual ship that they filmed on.
Right. Yeah. Like it was the real life USS Arizona.
Correct.
Which I don't know about listeners at home, but like for someone that grew up as a millennial, I guess, and like, is it Ben Affleck in that movie?
Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. As someone that saw that movie like 17 times because it was big when it came out, that's like such a recognizable name to me. So even when they first said it, I was just like, oh, wow, that's going to be so weird to see this ship referenced in a time like before its, I don't know, finale took place.
I have to go back and watch Pearl Harbor. Did they ever mention James Cagney filmed on this ship in the movie?
Oh, I don't know.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm mostly joking, but I guess that would be neat if Michael Bay was like, love, here comes the Navy.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Big Pat O'Brien guy. But of course, to your point, not only set in the movie of Pearl Harbor, but also the real events of Pearl Harbor, 1941. Yeah. This is the same ship that was later found at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, and this is the one, I mean, you can go to Hawaii now and see the wreckage still sitting at the bottom of the ocean.
Right, still there.
Which is crazy. It's great. Yeah, I don't know. Just as soon as I heard USS Arizona, I was like, wow. It's so weird to hear it in any context beyond Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, well, it's. I'm trying to think of that old phrase of like moments before disaster, like the calm before the storm.
Yeah,
where it's interesting to kind of see something and not know. Well, we know the context of what's to come, but they don't. It's a little eerie in that sense. But this movie's not concerned with anything other than just fun and excitement.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. How did you feel? We've kind of alluded a little bit to how we feel about the movie, but how did you feel about this overall?
Like at the end?
No, just this movie. Well, like
once I was done watching it?
Correct.
When I was done watching it, I think there were certain things I was hoping to see from it that I didn't. And then there were things that I did see from it that I didn't expect, that I was just like,
Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. But overall, like, I think this is a pretty fun romp.
Yeah.
I think that James Cagney does a lot for this movie, and he's so charismatic that I almost feel like you could pop him into any movie, and it will make it at least enjoyable, like baseline enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what I really liked the most about it is like on the back end looking at it is that we have movies like Flirtation Walk that show us William Powell like becoming, he's kind of a goofy individual to begin with, and then as the movie goes on, the military shapes him and he is able to like be like, you know, the officer and the gentleman kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in this, I anticipated a similar thing with James Cagney. And I am delighted to let you know that he is essentially the same person at the end of the movie as he is in the beginning.
And I think that's really important as to like why he was cast for this.
Yes.
I think when you book James Cagney, you get James Cagney.
Yeah.
And in a way where like Edward G. Robinson was considered for this movie at the time, and I don't know that he could pull off the same like charismatic charm. He seems more suited for that like evolution of a character where he does kind of become more straight edge at the end of the film. Cagney's just he's like a loose cannon throughout the entire movie, and I think that's what makes him so much fun.
A ton of fun between him and Pat O'Brien. And I want to talk a bit about Pat O'Brien and James Cagney together. So, no strangers to each other, right? Between films, shorts, TVs, and documentaries, which, I mean, if we're counting documentaries, how many times do you think James Cagney and Pat O'Brien have shared the screen?
7.
18.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they were friends, right?
They were friends.
Yeah.
They were roommates.
Roommates.
No, they were friends. I mean, when you work together or share the screen 18 times, like this is going to happen. So obviously a lot of history between the two of them, not so much at this time, but to come. Plenty of opportunity for them to work together again. And they have good chemistry. I've enjoyed the two of them together. This does kind of introduce what I think we should go ahead and talk about, which is that Pat O'Brien is very good in this role. He kind of was also in a similar role with Flirtation Walk, right? As, was it Gunner? Chopper?
Gunner sounds familiar.
It was one of those. It was intimidating sounding. And he's obviously well familiar with a military movie. And James Cagney is really good in this role too. And the both of them have fantastic chemistry together. The not issue, but the fun thing about this movie that is a lot of fun to talk about is whether there is intentionality or not in the fact that there is a love interest in this movie. And that is Gloria Stewart, playing Dot Martin, as you mentioned. And she's very good in this too. I want to talk about Dorothy Martin here and rather Gloria Stewart in just a minute. But that's not the love interest we're really looking at in this movie, is it? To me, James Cagney and Pat O'Brien is the love interest in this movie.
I don't think that they have a bromance the same way that Flirtation Walk played with the characters, William Powell and Pat O'Brien.
Sure.
Scrapper was his name.
Scrapper, yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, I didn't feel that the same way I did in previous films where I was like, maybe there's some undertones going on here. I think that on-screen chemistry is there, but not in a like bromance way. It's very, there's a lot of conflict, obviously.
See, to me, maybe this is what romance kind of became with like romance novels, but the core premise of this movie is like, I hate you so much.
Yeah.
It's like, great, so are you going to kill him? Well, no, I'm just going to dedicate my life to being around him all the time so I can show him how much I hate him. It's like, just kiss already. Like, you guys just need to kiss already if you're going to do this to each other, because they're also smirking at each other, and it's like having the upper hand of each other, right? It's not, when I see him on sight, I'm going to swing at him.
Right. And
chasing him to the Navy. And there's even a little bit of like, I'm looking back on this now, but when Mr. Steal Your Girl comes into the frame and he starts dancing with James Cagney's girl, she's like, what's it going to take to separate us? And he's like, an industrial-sized magnet, baby, or something like that. And to me, it was just, it felt so performative of like, I don't really feel this way. I'm just kind of doing this to get at him.
Yeah.
Everything just felt like they are the two that are like destined to do this forever to each other. So again, I just felt like, especially towards the end of the movie, when there's a moment where, not to spoil anything, James Cagney kind of reverses the role onto Pat O'Brien of like, you can call me Mister. And Pat O'Brien kind of has a smirk of like, oh, you old so-and-so, you did it, didn't you? And they have like, you're right, that chemistry. But to me, it's so easy to read romance between the two of them. And there just happens to be Gloria Stewart present as well.
No, I can totally see where you're coming from.
I don't think that was necessarily the intention.
No, it certainly wasn't.
But I think it's definitely like, it's a good therapy session where if you talk to the director, Lloyd Bacon, and again, I'm theorizing here, but if you talk with Lloyd Bacon and you ask him that, he's like, well, no, that wasn't my intention at all. And then you like really look into the core text, you're like, I think subconsciously you were a little bit doing that.
Right.
That's not to say that the tension, or not tension, but the chemistry between Gloria Stewart and James Cagney isn't there as well. I really liked Gloria Stewart in this.
Yeah. I thought everybody was great in this movie. Gloria Stewart is a lot of fun when her and Cagney first meet and like he follows her home, essentially. He can get a little creepy in this movie for sure.
Well, it didn't help that Droopy's like right behind him the whole time.
Yeah. God. He's a pretty good like comedic relief character.
Great sidekick.
Yeah. But Gloria Stewart in this, I think she's able to keep up with James Cagney's like witty remarks pretty well. And that's not something you can say lightly because he is so charismatic. They're not in it a ton, though. She doesn't show up until almost the third act.
Gloria Stewart?
Yeah.
Well, she shows up on the ship a couple times.
Yeah,
right?
but even then, it's just like she shows up more as like a plot device and like something to...
Oh, her character, you mean? Like her personality.
Exactly, yeah.
Sure.
So it's not until he leaves the ship to like go on his date with her or whatever. Or isn't he like mailing he's mailing that letter for Droopy's mom.
Looking for an excuse. And he's like, we only have $20. How much is it? 24. Yes. We'll be back.
And yeah, that whole... I guess that's considered their meet cute, really. They're just great together. They're fun.
They are. It's a good time to mention that Gloria Stewart, not a stranger to us when it comes to being out on the sea. Are you familiar with what else she did? Don't look it up. You can't do this.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Invisible Man.
Oh, no.
I didn't know she was in that either.
Oh, I
forgot to look her up.
I didn't know she was in that.
Yeah.
No. She is in Titanic.
That's crazy.
She's old Rose.
Yeah.
I don't mean to like, she's Rose in current time.
Listen, it's been 84 years. I think at some point you can start calling people old.
Okay, that's a good point. So in 1997, she's in James Cameron's Titanic as the old. We'll just say old. The old Rose.
Wonder, is this
a callback?
Well, I wonder if this will be the biggest gap of actors we see in a Best Picture movie to a Best Picture movie.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because that was, hold on, let's do the math on this. 1934 to 1997 would be 63 years.
63 years.
I was really hoping it was actually 84 years, so that the meme would be incredible.
Yeah. It's been 63 years.
So 63 years between, well, not to say, do we know if she was in a Oscar-nominated film since Here Comes the Navy, before Titanic?
I don't know. But I mean, even if it's not just calling it a gap, and she was in stuff between that, like that's still a wild
crazy
range.
I wonder if it is.
Yeah.
I don't know who else could have done that.
I don't think anybody could.
Just Gloria Stewart.
Just Gloria Stewart. That's crazy.
But, you know, the crazy thing, too, is that, to my knowledge, this was, I think, the first movie we've seen her in. That's Best Picture
Yeah, yeah.
nominated. So that would mean that the first and presumably last time that she shows up in the Academy were both for ship-related movies.
Boat movies.
Boat movies. Yeah, sure.
Ship. You're right.
So very cool. Very cool to see that. And when I found that out, I was like kind of studying her a little bit more on screen to like see if I could really like make that out and if I would have been able to tell. No way.
Well, that's a big gap.
It's a big gap. A lot of things happen between
That's
them.
so cool.
Very neat to see her do this. So if you thought she looked a little familiar, that's why. She was Rose in Titanic and not Kate Winslet.
That's very cool. That's very cool. She, again, Invisible Man she was in, but also The Old Dark House.
Oh, the one that I just let you borrow.
Yep.
Have you watched that yet?
I have not, but I'll let you know.
Great.
Big Universal horror person, though. So we'll be talking about her, I'm sure, in the Horror of the Overlooked Patreon exclusive bonus show. Check it out.
Very excited to talk about her a bit more because I wonder if she leans into comedy because she is really funny in this.
Yeah.
You're right. She holds her own against James Cagney. She's fast talking, but you also buy the relationship. I liked this relationship of Dot Martin and Chesty a bit better than something like Flirtation Walk. Flirtation Walk to me felt kind of like, hey, why not? And this feels more like we're actually seeing them like bud of like a connection and a romance.
Yeah.
So I do want to say that I like this a bit more than Flirtation Walk because I thought Flirtation Walk had, not to compare, but if you're talking in the same year about military comedies, hard not to compare them.
No.
And Pat O'Brien of it all.
Yeah, right. It's the interesting thing to me now is even on this podcast, we've like briefly mentioned, oh, things are getting kind of wild out in Europe, and we've brought up Hitler's name a couple times. And it's wild to me that we've had two military films released in 1934. We hadn't done a lot of that prior to this in the years leading up to this. We had All Quiet on the Western Front, and that was very much a anti-war film.
Which is wild because we start with an Oscar winner being Wings.
Right. And those movies feel like, hey, let's remember the heroes or the tragedies of World War I.
Like historical depictions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas the movies we're covering now almost just feel like a playful.
Like a slice of life.
Yeah. They're not done to be serious dramas. Is this very early signs of military propaganda? Kind of getting the country used to the idea of joining the military?
Maybe early stages.
Yeah.
Because at no point did I feel influenced to do this. Because, I mean, look, I love to consider myself a little petty. Like, I love being just a little petty. I aspire to the level of pettiness that James Cagney's character has.
Sure.
Of, like, dedicating my life to the Navy to, like, spite this man. But at no point does it feel like he's like, the Navy made me a better person. I'm sure you could make that argument, but that's not his mindset.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that will come into play until we get closer to World War II.
Sure.
But I do wonder if this is like trying to make joining the military seem like a more lighthearted affair and something where maybe you watch this and say, oh, that looks fun.
Yeah.
Completely leaves out any of the danger or stress of actually joining the service.
I can meet my new best friend, Droopy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that we hadn't seen any of these up to this point, and now we're seeing two in 1 year. I don't think they were like strategically nominated or anything. It's a weird coincidence, Ryan.
It is. It's also worth noting that both Flirtation Walk and Here Comes Navy were Warner Brothers.
And maybe Warner Brothers is just pumping out military movies.
They might be.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you're right. I wouldn't necessarily call this propaganda. I think what it becomes certainly does. Mm-hmm. But this feels more like this is a reality of what's happening right now is that people are being drafted and like going into like the military. So why don't we make a slice of life movie that happens to take place inside of that?
Yeah.
So I think you're right in the sense that it does go a very long way in trying to humanize and like make an otherwise very difficult experience lighthearted. So I'm sure there's some truth to that. I don't think it fully reaches propaganda level.
Sure.
I think it's very easy to look at that in like a cynical way. It becomes that, certainly, 100%, but not this movie.
I know that military movies were re-released as we get closer to World War II and then used as propaganda. I think Sergeant York is an example of that, where it was re-released and then kind of twisted in a way of Uncle Sam wants you, just like it wanted York. So I wonder if these Flirtation Walk and this are films that eventually do see a re-release and are kind of made like, hey, you want to have fun on a ship? Uncle Sam wants you. I don't know. It's just an interesting little tidbit.
It is. No, you're right. And I think it does lead the way for something like that. And obviously, it's difficult to look at the movie and kind of cite that it is propaganda when it was instead used for propaganda later on. So I think that's an interesting conversation that we're definitely going to be having as we get closer to the war. Now, something that I do want to talk about is we need to go ahead and break down the elephant in the room. And that's that at one point, James Cagney's character, Chesty, crazy name, by the way. Chesty decides, I got to get off the ship. I got to go see my girl. But I have essentially been grounded. I have been, I cannot leave. I have to stay to my post. How do I get off? Oh, I know. There are certain individuals on this ship that can leave, and I can blend in with them. How do I blend in with them? Turns out they're all black, and he needs to blend in with them. So how does he do that? He does don blackface in this. And I sent you, I think you were on TikTok, and we were like talking vaguely about the movie. Because you and I like to do a thing where we walk into this conversation not really knowing how we feel.
Right.
Maybe we saw our ratings, but we don't fully know like what the sentiment is behind that. So we were kind of being like, I like it whenever I say I just saw this movie, because both of us kind of like lean back and even through the phone, lean back and look at each other and be like, so what'd you think? I know you're not going to tell me, but like, what are you going to say about it? And I think what I told you was James Cagney controversy jump scare.
Right.
I think is what I told you, and you were like immediately like, yep, okay, heard. It's a jump scare in this movie.
Yeah.
Because when he's talking about sneaking off the ship and everything, and he's like, Droopy, take my place. Like, watch this for me. I'm going to pay this guy $20 for like his clothes or whatever. You're like, sure. He's going to keep his head down, put like a hat on or something and sneak off. But instead, he is donning like, I mean, in reality, I think he puts like charcoal or something.
Like grease, I think.
Grease, yeah, on his face to blend in. And it's just like, it's so unnecessary. And thankfully, there's no performance behind this. There's no character that he dons. There's no stereotypes in the performance.
Yeah, he's not playing into it like physically or with the mannerisms.
Correct. And as soon as he gets off the boat and he sees his girl, he's like, hey, babe, no, it's me. Sorry, I had to do this, get off the boat. Let's go grab like a drink or something.
Yeah, I've got to get this off.
Exactly. So it just, the whole thing just feels like so unnecessary. And I guess I don't want to give the movie credit for it not being like a true like blackface like performance, but still like that is what's written into it. And it really does hurt my rating of it because it feels so unnecessary to do something like this. And it almost like it was a reminder of the time, right?
Yeah.
And I was enjoying not being reminded of the time period and what came with it. A perfect example is Thin Man. Like Thin Man is of the time, but there's nothing in it that I can remember that really made you feel like, oh yeah, this is like wrong at the time.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to say some things that might be controversial.
I'm so glad we're recording.
Yeah. Something like Viva Villa or the In Old Arizona, right? Where you have white actors donning brown face specifically to portray these characters with the stereotypes and everything else involved in them.
Underlining the word portrayal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not trying to like compare levels of, playing a different race. Mm-hmm. I do think that in this film, you do kind of have to watch it and say, okay, this came out in 1934.
Yes.
So it is of a different time. And this isn't an actor like stealing the role from somebody who should be playing this role or could be playing this role. This is instead like done for the plot.
Yes.
And while it is still very frowned upon in the context of like, this is 1934, this feels like something that makes sense to drive the plot home. That's not me saying that when I watched it, I was like, bravo, James, brilliant plan. But I do think that, I don't want to say this is like a smaller offense than some of the things we've covered, but I think it not playing with the stereotypes and just being like a disguise.
Like a plot device.
A plot device disguise in a film in 1934. This didn't, maybe I've seen a lot of these movies now as well that we haven't talked about on the show where I'm just like, wow, what are we doing? Like Al Jolson in The Jazz Singer. That is a huge offense.
Yes.
And that's a movie that's talked about and praised, and kind of like people glaze over that. And they're just like, it was the first talking picture. Also, did you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to like be dismissive of what was done on screen. I just think that it was presented in a way that maybe earns a little bit of grace because it does it in kind of a decent way. It's presented in a decent way.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense, or if I'm just sitting here like, blackface, baby, let's support it. Like, that's not what I'm doing.
Clip that. Clip
Please
that.
don't. Delete.
No, I think it makes plenty of sense. I think in a way I'm trying to say the same thing, where
Yeah.
it's something that bothered me and kind of reminded me of like the time and how that was happening. But the movie isn't really doing that, right? The movie isn't like commenting on whether it's okay or not. Like, it's kind of just more a plot device. And again, there's no performance behind it. He's not taking it from another actor. Like, it is just a plot device to get him on that boat.
Right.
And I think for me, this is a real hindsight situation. But watching it now, I think that what he did makes plenty of sense for a camera. Like, on a camera, you're going to be like, yeah, okay, it's difficult to kind of tell who's who in this scenario. Pat O'Brien standing right next to him and then Droopy in the background being like, way to go, Chesty. Like, while he gets on the boat.
Sure.
I do think if I was Pat O'Brien, I'd be like,
Wait a minute.
you look different. Like,
Yeah.
you don't look like everyone else here. So that's hindsight. That's not in the movie. And I'm sure that's a little bit of the humor itself.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, I was like, oh yeah, he's caught. This is funny. But instead, Pat O'Brien's like, oh, that was weird. All right, we'll see you guys. That's certainly, I think it's around the halfway part, maybe like a little past halfway.
Yeah.
So the rest of the movie, you're kind of like thinking about that specifically. So it's hard for me not to. But you're right. I mean, I agree with you that it's hard for us to kind of be like, hey, this wasn't offensive and it shouldn't be seen that way. But I think the important thing to note is that there was not a actor who lost out on this role because of that.
Right.
There was not any portrayal in this character, and there was no like stereotype behind that portrayal.
Right.
It really was just a plot device for him to get onto a boat and onto land, and then that's it. So more of a, I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but the sound I can think of is yee.
Yeah.
More of a yee and less of a, condemnation
Right.
of the movie.
And I just want to be clear. Like,
Of course.
I wasn't trying to dismiss it. And in no way am I the person that gets to say like, hey guys, you shouldn't be offended.
Well, go look at our conversation about Viva Villa and our conversation about In Old Arizona.
Yeah.
Where, like, that's just not okay, and it's difficult
Right.
to cover these.
I think it's something that's going to show up a lot in covering films that are almost 100 years old. And I think that there are, again, there has to be layers to this.
Yes.
Of how, like, the purpose behind some of these things, I think matters in its level of offensiveness.
It does. The phrase that I just thought of here is, or the comparison I can make, is it's less of a portrayal of blackface and more of a reminder. So it's a reminder of something that is terrible.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's kind of like you remember, oh God, this is awful. This was happening at the time. So it's not the movie's fault. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But still, it's a reminder of this was the time and this was happening, and it was seen a little more with grace than it was.
I mean, you're still going to watch this movie, get to this part, and be like, what?
Yeah.
So there is that.
I may have missed a line where he like says, I'm going to do this. So when he shows up on screen with grease on his face, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
didn't expect that. Also, just to kind of like, we haven't talked about this yet. This is one of my first like Cagney performances that I've seen. I haven't seen a lot of the detective noir stuff to come, gangster films. So I'm very excited for that. I didn't know Cagney was a redhead. There's a moment in this movie where Pat O'Brien references, and he's like, I'm not going to let some redhead talk to me about this. And then, like, of course, it being black and white, you're kind of like, I then lean into the screen and I'm looking, and you can see some freckles on Cagney's face, and you can see where his hair is just a little bit lighter than everyone else's. So I guess he was a redhead.
Interesting.
Did you know that?
I'm trying to remember. Yankee Doodle Dandy is also black and white, isn't it? I think it is.
I mean, based on the name alone, I'm going to say yes.
I like that movie a lot. That's the Cagney line that I'm a big fan of. But I don't think I knew he was a redhead. Is Pat O'Brien blonde? Because I do like the idea of this being like a Malfoy-Weasley situation.
All right, so here's what we're going to do, fan base. I'm typing in, is James Cagney a redhead? And let's see what happens. Yes, James Cagney was a natural redhead.
Fascinating.
Often described as sandy or ginger colored.
Okay.
So, yeah. Many of his early fans never realized he had vivid red hair because most of his films were shot in black and white. So, yeah.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. Freckled features. Yep, I was right.
Wow.
He was famously in a film called The Strawberry Blonde.
Ah.
So you're not too far off of that blonde.
Why.
But no, that's why.
Fascinating.
Interesting. Okay. A couple things I want to talk about.
Okay.
I really like the sound design in this movie. It's interesting that it was only nominated for Outstanding Production because I think it could have won some technical stuff.
Sure.
It being like so prominently filmed on a ship and featuring a lot of the on-sea footage that it does, I thought there was some like potential cinematography. Now, nothing where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe the shots they got in this. It's just more rare that we get to do something like this. But the sound design specifically of like the fighting, whenever there's a lot of like the ships were shooting at each other.
Yeah.
I really liked the sound design of this. I think back to something like, it must have been Cavalcade or some other film starring like the war as a central point, where I felt like it was just All Quiet on the Western Front, where so much of the sound design, especially back then, was just like loud noise. You can't tell anything else happening. This, you could tell a little bit more. You could differentiate what was happening in real time. But the other thing, and I put sound design of fighting good, sound design of fighting funny. What I'm talking about is the sound design of the ships during like the fighting sequences. The funny aspect is the sound design of the fist fighting between Pat O'Brien and James Cagney. I laughed so hard, and I don't know if you did, but they punch each other at least 20 times in this movie.
Yeah.
And every time that they land a punch, it is the most comical slap that is put in there. Just a and it's just
It's like the Indiana Jones stunt show. Where you're like, wait,
that's my double feature.
That's a tourist they just brought up on stage. How is he hitting so hard?
And I remember laughing so hard at the sound design in this movie. And that's part of the comedy is like these two guys that are like, oh, why I oughta, and then go to slap, and it's like Three Stooges.
Right, yeah.
Very good. So I wanted to bring up that, but also the fighting.
On the ships?
On the ships.
Yeah.
Very good.
There's a specific scene where they're firing like anti-aircraft guns, and they load
the camera
around. Yeah, they load a camera essentially, and it goes in, and the noise that makes as it like spirals through the gun.
There's a toy that it's like the exact sound. It's like a whistle, but it's like a rocket, like kind of like
You
fizzling up.
can hear it spiraling down the barrel.
To me, I was like, am I watching 2001: A Space Odyssey?
It was wild.
I really,
very cool.
I have that written down as the POV shot of the missile being launched. I thought that whole sequence was very interesting. And I just don't know how ships work, especially battleships. But like that sequence of all of them, including James Cagney and Droopy, loading in the weapons, the artillery.
I love that they actually got to do that.
Yeah.
In so many of these war movies, they're just like, all right, let's use stock footage. But
Yes.
here you're actually seeing the characters live on the ship and participate in these, I guess they're training exercises. But it was really cool to see them in action.
Yes, and of course that it's a pivotal part of the movie because this is where a fire breaks out. They're obviously loading a lot of like gun barrel or a gunpowder into the barrels, and a little bit like slips out and catches fire, and Cagney jumps on it to protect everyone and put it on himself, and this earns him a medal. Which is a real medal. This is a real thing that can happen. So he was awarded that. This kind of leads to my main criticism of the movie. And it's not even just this movie. This is just kind of what happens in this time frame, like this year or these years in the 30s. This movie's like 15, 20 minutes too long.
Sure.
And not only is it too long in the sense that like there's a section that doesn't need to be there, but there's false endings. There's a lot of like, specifically, we've talked about other movies where it just feels like, oh, here's the natural ending. Here's where it's going to end. And it doesn't. And we'll talk about that later this week too.
Yeah.
But this wasn't a criminal offense. It was just maybe one or two endings where I was like, this needs to be it.
Yeah, it gets a little weird. And I think it's the third act of these films where it's so rare that they really stick the landing.
Yes.
Because in this, you have Cagney. He rescues people on the ship by putting out the fire. He gets his medal, his award, and then the movie continues, and we're then in a setting where they're flying blimps.
Well, specifically, the way that we get there is that Cagney is leaving. He doesn't want to be on the ship anymore, so he's leaving. And when he's leaving, Pat O'Brien kind of extends his hand a little bit, where he's like, hey, I may not love you, but my sister does, so I'm willing to kind of shake your hand and give you this note that she wanted you to have. And he walks up to Cagney and tries to shake his hand and gives him the note without saying it's from his sister, and Cagney just tears it up.
Right.
And gives it to him and walks off the ship. And to me, that's like, this is the ending. The ending is like, hey, bygones be bygones. You saved me and my men. I clearly see you for who you are. I approve of your relationship with my sister. And that's the end of the movie. But instead, he just declines it and leaves so we can have another 10, 15 minutes, whatever, of being introduced to, well, now I work on a blimp. And that's what transitions us to the scene of how he comes in contact with Pat O'Brien again.
Right. And Pat O'Brien's on the ground and, for whatever reason, grabs one of the ropes that's attached to the blimp and doesn't let go in time. So he's just whisked off like Piglet on a blustery day.
I kind of understand. Because I think if I was near a blimp and I saw a rope, I certainly wouldn't hang on as long as he does. But a little bit of me would be like, I wonder if I could. You just grab it, and then like you get a foot off the ground, you're like, hee hee, and then you just drop again. I kind of get that. This man goes up like...
Well, I think the issue is once you grab it and it takes off, it happens so fast that you're like, oh, it's too late immediately to let go.
Yeah.
But it's just, what were you going to do? Pull it down?
This is an adult man who is like a captain in the Navy.
Yeah. Were you going to grab the moon, Mary? Like, is that what you're doing?
There's a little bit of me that wishes that like we saw him grab onto it, and for like 30 seconds, not 30 seconds, but like maybe 2 seconds, he's like, wee.
Oh, dear.
And then he's like, oh, wait, this is a mistake.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It's kind of unclear how he grabs it and why he grabs it.
Yeah, it's a silly accident that I'm sure happened quite a bit in the military while they were flying Zeppelins and things.
I almost thought it should instead be like it wrapped around his leg or something.
Sure.
But you're right. No, it's just straight up him being like, I don't know why I'm here. Like, I'm just hanging on.
But to kind of speed through this so we don't go over, Cagney decides, oh, I need to rescue him. So he climbs down the rope himself with a parachute strapped to his back, and he rescues Pat O'Brien's character. They parachute down to the ground, and he, once again, is rewarded for his heroism. And he then is given the title that is now above Petty Officer Martin.
Yeah.
And because of this, he's like, all right, well, now I'm in charge. I can do whatever I want, and you have to listen to me. So the movie ends with, I only know the actors' names for this movie, Chesty and Dot getting married, and Biff not being able to say boo about it.
Yep. And now he is in such high ranking that he outranks Martin, and Martin has to call him Mr. But again, there's that little moment where like he kind of has a smirk of like, oh, that's great. You got me.
Yeah. And I think it's the thing where he's like, okay, you joined the Navy like to get me back, and now you've done it in a way that I can respect. Like you didn't sucker punch me or anything. You now have a title that you outrank me.
Yeah, but now like it's established to me that like they are a trio. That it's like, hey, I'm married to this woman, but I also absolutely hate her brother.
Sure. Yeah, I wonder what the rest of their life looks like.
Yeah, we'll see. And of course, it ends with a very funny moment of Droopy letting getting his mother to sing.
Yeah.
With her fake teeth.
Yeah, that's been a whole like B plot. Is Droopy's trying to get money over to his mother so that she can get these fake teeth. So while she's singing the song, pretty roughly, it is funny. Like she's reading the lyrics off of his
stomach and back.
Yeah, he got it tattooed, and in the middle of her performance, her teeth almost fly out of her mouth. So
it's also very funny because he says like she's got to read it off my chest. So like he opens his shirt up and he has it there.
Yeah,
and there's a whole like 15-second segment of her singing where she's not looking at his chest at all. And I was like, why did he need to do this? Like she's not even looking at him. But when he turns around, she's clearly looking at his back.
Yeah.
So okay.
It is very funny. And I like that the character like Dot is laughing at it.
Yes. They're all having a good time with it.
I think it's a fun ending. I do think, again, these third acts, hey, what would be a good finisher to this? Let's have Pat O'Brien grab a blimp and just go nuts.
Again, I would argue that if you don't have James Cagney ripping up that letter, that this is you could skip the whole blimp sequence and this ending can still happen.
Yeah.
Of them getting married and still having he's not in a wheelchair, which I don't think is necessary for the end. So was he in a wheelchair? He was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I think he hurt his leg on landing.
So there's that whole element too, where it's unnecessarily long, where it's like, well, we give him an award, and that makes he showed that he saves his life for other people, so that should be enough for you, right? He's like, no, he needs to do it twice.
Yeah,
and I need to be the person he saved. It feels a little unnecessary.
I almost feel like cut out the fire in the gun room,
sure,
and then have him save Pat O'Brien.
You don't need both.
Yeah,
you don't need both, and I think I'm right there with you. Because overall, I did really think this was funny. I enjoyed it.
I had fun.
Chief Petty Officer is right. This was a petty move on both of their parts, and I really liked the relationship between the both of them. I liked how it kind of teased just a little bit of the romance between them, even though it's probably you or general you looking into it more than the film telling you. But I think subconsciously it's also doing that. Really liked Gloria Stewart. I think James Cagney is a revelation in this kind of role. And I'm surprised that I haven't heard of him more in this kind of role. And when I hear him, I think the context more now is gangster films.
Sure.
Right? But he's good in this. And I think he has a really great ability to command the screen with a comedy.
The thing I'm most excited for when it comes to Cagney is he did his early gangster films, and obviously those are heralded as just staples of that genre. But as we move forward, I mentioned Yankee Doodle Dandy. He sings and dances in that movie.
Can't wait.
He's fantastic. So I love the duality of what he's able to do. And I think this is kind of that in-between in a way. So it was fun to see him, because I have recently watched some of his gangster movies coming up to this. It was fun seeing him kind of shift into something that from what I understand, he enjoys more is when he plays these types of roles and later his musicals. So I'm looking forward to more Cagney and certainly to Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Very excited to dive into it. So let's talk about ratings.
Let's do it.
Where did you just typed in "Here Comes" into Letterboxd, and the first thing is "Here Comes the Boom," starring Kevin James.
Yeah,
not the same.
Close.
What did you rate "Here Comes the Navy"?
So when I watched it, I gave it 2.5 stars. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's correct, but that's what I gave it at the time of watching the film.
Right.
Talking about it, I'm like, well, this was a lot of fun for all of the reasons we've mentioned. So I don't know. That probably needs to change. I feel like that's something we do a lot on the podcast, where we're like, this is what I gave it. But after talking to you for an hour, I don't know. But 2.5 is what I've got for the record books.
So that's not currently what you have listed on Letterboxd.
Really?
No.
What do I have listed?
You have 3.5.
3.5
listed on Letterboxd right now. So I wasn't sure if you've changed that since we were talking about it.
Give it 3.5 stars then.
Sounds like it. I gave it 3.
Okay.
I had a good time with it. I thought it was really funny. I was kind of anticipating this to be another flirtation walk, so maybe it was an expectation game too. But I thought that the relationship between the three leads was fantastic. Did you?
I was on the wrong page. I was looking at the rating for One Night of Love.
I was going to say, we'll get there with Barrett's, but
right.
I was wrong. Yes. So I thought Here Comes the Navy was a lot of fun, and I would watch it again. You know, even with some of the issues that I have with it and it being just a little bit too long. And I think it's 90 minutes. So it shouldn't be. But you can feel like some of these stories are just 60 minutes long and they just have to figure out. It's funny. It's always the ending. It's never like there's a middle piece that doesn't belong here. It's always the ending.
It's that third act, man.
I don't get it.
And I think I will go down in history as just appreciating so much Kim Luperi saying, it's long. That will stay with me for the rest of my life.
She's
in
right.
Just an understanding of movies from this era and what they needed to be.
And she's totally right. So let's dive into double features. I'm really excited to come to yours. So my double feature, I looked at the relationship of finding love in an unexpected place. And
we found love.
Hamnet style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Behind the scenes. I went with a relationship that the plot of the movie doesn't revolve around the romance. The romance is found within the plot.
Yes.
And that is a 1995 John Turteltaub's film, While You Were Sleeping. This is a film in which Sandra Bullock finds herself where she is fantasizing about a relationship with a man, and he ends up in a coma, and she follows him to the hospital. His family shows up, and she lies about being in a relationship with him. And in that, she ends up falling in love with his brother. So now it's difficult because her brother thinks that she's in love with his brother, but in reality, they aren't together, and she should just want to be with him. And her finding this romance in a situation she put herself in reminded me a lot of Here Comes the Navy, of him putting himself in the situation to fight Pat O'Brien and then finding love in the meantime. Okay. Yeah. So I thought that was a nice little like duality of that. So While You Were Sleeping is my pick.
I like it. I got a little lost in all the brother talk there.
Brother, yeah.
Yeah. But it sounds Sandra Bullock in the 90s.
And
sold.
I'm always going to do this. Pullman Paxton? It's one of them. I think it's Bill Paxton.
I love Bill Paxton. R.I.P.
Pretty sure it's Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
And Sandy from the OC, Peter Gallagher.
Cool. That's not a name I really am familiar with.
I think you and Peter Gallagher look a little alike. So,
do we?
Yeah. He's got a little bit of, oh my God, Kyle MacLachlan. Just a little bit.
I do love a Kyle MacLachlan.
I figured you might. Agent Cooper himself.
Diane, my double feature. So I have to credit you with this one. I wasn't sure what to pick.
And I threw this out. Like, this was not like
You did.
the most inspired pick that I've ever made. I more just kind of said it as a joke, and your eyes lit up.
Well, if it wasn't inspired for you, it's even less inspired for me because I just stole it.
I would love to hear your reasoning.
I'm going to go with, I think, 2003's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Gore Verbinski.
Yeah, that's the one. So, obviously, ships. There's that. But there's a lot of relationship kind of hunting in that movie for like various reasons. Obviously, you have the romance between Orlando Bloom and I forgot her name, Keira Knightley. Thank you. I was like Kate Portman. It's one of them.
Nailed it.
But you have all of them, and then you certainly have. I almost did it again. Keira Knightley, like sort of pursuing Jack Sparrow, but not really. She's just. It's a ruse or whatever.
It's so funny to me. I would think it serves more of Here Comes the Navy because I would think Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley have the romance, but there's a little bit of Orlando Bloom and Jack Sparrow.
Sure.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, and there is that like, oh, well, now I have to work with this guy that I don't really like because I want to save the girl. So, I mean, the plots aren't one-to-one by any means.
But there are three leads on a boat.
Yes.
And the way that their lives revolve around each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I love Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's great.
It's so good.
I think 1 and 2, I have to rewatch 3.
Yeah,
but I think 1 and 2 are fantastic.
Man, I saw the first one like 5 times in theaters, which was a big deal because I was like 13 or 14. It was a lot of money for a kid. And then the second one, man, I was in those seats like every weekend.
Bro, it was like a midnight release. I remember when they were actually doing like true midnight releases back then.
Yeah.
And I was watching that one, and when spoilers for 2005 Dead Man's Chest, I suppose, when Barbossa shows up at the end.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Now what happened to me, Pearl?" I was like,
so good.
Like the whole theater was just screaming. Man. So very cool. And it was definitely a moment in time. Mm-hmm. And I wish that those movies evolved better.
Yes.
Because 1 and 2 were legitimately very good. Maybe 3 is. We'll see.
Why aren't we making more movies like that? Like, why aren't there more pirate movies? Not Pirates of the Caribbean, but pirate movies. Why don't we pirate movies? But, like that, I know we have the Odyssey coming out, but like, where are the yearly Sword and Sandals movies? Like there's a whole group of movies that just they don't put out anymore.
Well, Disney, I think, has had the most budget to put behind something like that, and they have tried to make more pirate movies or Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and people just aren't interested. And the problem is, I think they'd be interested if they were well made. We're giving them to like Rob Marshall. Like, he doesn't know what to do with this movie.
Where is my pirate horror movie?
Where is our pirate horror movie?
That's what I'm saying, man.
Great question.
Like, hit me with it. Like, give me a rated R pirate movie.
We want to believe in ghost stories because we're living in one.
Yeah.
We're in one.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, if I was Barbossa.
Anyway, that's Here Comes the Navy and our double features. No, I think this is a fun one. I
would recommend it.
Trigger warning for a bit of a jump scare in the middle, and forgive me if I've offended anybody with my dissection of that scene. But moving forward, we're going to see stuff like that a lot, and I think it's important. If you're going to look at things from a historical point of view, you've got to kind of shift the way that you analyze these things a little bit.
We have to talk about, like, we have to report in on, like, how it's actually perceived.
Right.
Like how it's portrayed on screen. So I think that's a big part of it too. So I think we handle it about as well as we could have with something like this. But agreed, bit of a jump scare.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys watched Here Comes the Navy, by the way, this is available Warner Archive Media DVD. If you can find it, get it.
It's also on Prime Video and Apple, where you can rent it. But if you can find the DVD, I think it's worth it. I'm certainly looking for it.
Yeah. If you did watch the film, though, and you have any thoughts on it and Cagney's other performances coming up, excited about those, shoot us an email at outaaopodcast@gmail.com. We mentioned the Patreon at the top of the show. We recently did our watch party. We're going to be doing more of those in the future. Horror of the Overlooked came out earlier this month. That's going to be a reoccurring Patreon bonus episode every 13th of every month, covering the overlooked horror films of the Academy Awards. And, access to the Discord, all of the fun perks for everybody. Check out patreon.com/OUTAO podcast. And keep following on social media, because we mentioned it last episode, but there's some cool stuff that's going to be happening today. Yeah. So I'm excited for it.
I'm pumped. It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be very cool. But do you have anything you want to add?
What am I going to do on a submarine?
What are you going to do on a submarine?
I was just more in the Navy.
Yeah, but now I want to know.
What am I going to do in a submarine? That thing. No, I'm good. We nailed it.
As always, I'm Kyle.
I'm Ryan.
And we'll
see you at the movies.